dapat may end of day report, may end of day reconciliation ng actual cash na collection versus that of the issued receipts. In accepting continuance and client relationship, the firm should establish policies. So dapat may policy si firm on the types of clients, and will only undertake or continue some relationship with the client if merong integrity. I remember telling you some stories about this one on the integrity of the client, and kailangan kasi if the client or the firm's name be associated with somebody like that of the Enron case, as I previously been mentioning to you, pati yung firm mismo na naaapektuhan yung reputation and therefore the business itself. Also, as part of that quality control policy is that kailangan yung firm, or when I say firm, that's the auditing firm or the accounting office, is competent to perform the engagement. It should have the capability, the time, and the resources to do so. So that means when we say capability, competent siya. So for example, you are tasked to audit an insurance company. Dapat yung team that will be auditing that company would have some competency. May mga tao roon na with a background in insurance. Kung yung i-audit mo, for example, is an airline company, mas magandang tao na ilalagay mo doon yung tao na merong background or some sort of history na nakapag-audit na siya ng airline company. He has the time. When I say, the mention of time here means that meron kang enough time to actually conduct the audit. Hindi po pwedeng tinanggap mo yung audit engagement because of the money, but the problem is tinanggap mo siya by December 15. Nagkaroon lang kayo ng engagement agreement December 15. And then malaking company siya. So you wouldn't be able to audit within the 15-day period. Diba? To do the interim audit, yung mga halimbawa interim physical count ng inventory, hindi mo na siya magagawa. So normally, the audit engagement would be on the early part of the year because ang audit engagement would oftentimes start by, say, mga August, September, nag-start na yan. And the resources. So, for example, as I'm always providing you an example, si SGV, ino-audit niya si UNC. Meron ba siyang resources that would be able to transport their auditors going here sa Naga? Can they actually provide yung mga auditors nila their hotel accommodation, their transportation, their food allowances? Kasi kung small time na firm, halimbawa dito ang office natin sa Naga, and then we are to audit somebody, some office in Davao, tapos small time, wala ni pamasahe, hirap tayong maghagilap ng airline ticket, that's a problem, diba? So both capabilities, time, and also the resources. Can comply with the ethical requirements. Ano yung pinaka-importanting ethical requirements? That's independence. Kailangan, when you are engaged by a certain entity na kailangan, you have already checked na yung firm is independent. Hindi dapat ang isa sa mga company doon is shareholder ng auditing firm. Hindi po pwede yun. Diba? Kasi ma-aapekto ang independence. In terms of the engagement performance, still under the engagement performance, the firm thou should establish procedures designed to provide reasonable assurance. I like to highlight here reasonable assurance that engagement are performed in accordance with professional standards and other regulatory and legal requirements, that the audit report issued is appropriate in the circumstances. Sinasabi lang dito is that hindi absolute assurance yung audit engagement. It's only reasonable assurance na sumunod ka at ginawa mo ang audit, you perform the audit in accordance with the professional standard, which is the PSA. The engagement partner should take responsibility for that direction, supervision, review, and overall performance of the audit engagement. So, alin na kanino uli ang responsibility in terms of firm, ang may responsibility dyan is the engagement partner. I remember mentioning this to you, that yung hierarchy of those, so meron kang audit staff, normally yung mga field auditor goes into, and they are the ones performing the audit. Then meron niyang supervisor, probably one supervisor, and then meron niyang audit manager. Yung audit manager are the ones talking to the executives of the company. And then si audit manager, meron niyang engagement partner. Mas mataas sa kanya yon, and the overall responsibility, at usually ang pumipirma ng audited financial report, yung audit report is the engagement partner, not the manager, not the supervisor. Yung manager, yung supervisor, normally they are the levels of review. Kaya nga pag tinignan mo rito, the overall responsibility lies with the engagement partner. But the supervision, for example, it's on the call of the manager and the supervisor. The review, maraming levels yan of the review before an audit report will be finalized. Ang pinaka-final review niyan is the engagement partner. Normally, you do not see engagement partner in the site or in the company itself doing the audit. No. Even the manager, bibihira yan. Ang usually makikita mo na nag-audit talaga is yung mga field auditor, yung mga staff headed by a supervisor. Yun lang ang kadil talaga ng mga accountant, ino-audit niya sa firm. Then, kapag nagkaroon na kumpleto ang audit procedures, it's the time that, for example, the CFO will be dealing with the audit manager. More of mga findings na lang yan to finalize it. And then, once na plancha yan, the report goes to the engagement partner. Iaakit siya ng manager, audit manager sa engagement partner. The engagement partner naman will deal with the company's CEO o kaya president. Ito yung mga audit findings. So by the time na dumating yan sa level nila, there will already be several iterations, several review, back and forth na mga discussions between the supervisor level with the accountant, the CFO level with the manager, before going to the president's level or the CEO up to with the engagement partner. So in terms of direction, assistants thou should be informed of their responsibilities, the nature of the entity's business, potential problem that may arise, and detailed approach to the performance of the engagement. So itong they say assistants, these are the basically yung mga audit staff. Ito yung mga field auditors. Kailangan, bago sila pumunta ron, Clear sa kanila, may clear delineation, ano ang i-audit mo, anong mga areas, ano ang mga audit procedures na gagawin mo. That's part of an audit plan. Then, nature of the entity of business. Hindi po pwedeng pupunta doon si field auditor or the audit team that will be conducting the actual audit na hindi niya alam kung ano ang nature of business ng i-audit niya. Otherwise, hindi niya alam kung anong mga hihingi niyang dokumento. Di ba? Kailangan alam din niya ano yung mga potential problems. As I mentioned to you, normally those audit would be the previous auditors themselves or previous na maaring ibang new team pero dati na siyang inaudit ng firm. So, ipinamamana yan. Ito yung mga concerns, ito yung mga things that would have to be highlighted. Okay, let me just admit Miss Ray. And then, detailed approach to the performance. Ito yung sinasabi kong audit plan. Meron yan, merong halimbawa, a certain specific time, ilang oras mo i-audit ang cash, ilang oras mo i-audit ang receivables, ilang oras mo i-audit ang inventory, anong procedures ang gagawin mo sa cash, anong procedures ang gagawin mo sa receivables, anong procedures ang gagawin mo sa inventory. Specific yan. It's under an overall audit plan. Supervision. So the engagement partner should monitor the progress of the audit. Physically, wala doon si engagement partner, pero kailangan updated lagi siya ni audit manager. Resolve accounting in audit issues. During the course of the audit, halimbawa, yung audit team na andoon sa site na ino-audit niya, magre-report yung audit team on a daily basis, nagre-report yan sa kanyang manager. Yung manager, hindi naman daily basis pupunta kay partner. Kapag may mga pain points na tinatawag, merong mga areas of conflict o kaya naman areas wherein hindi ma-resolve yung halimbawa yung accounting policies, accounting practices ng client, then it gets to the level of an audit engagement partner, and then probably the engagement partner would have to have a call. Probably, normally, ano lang yan, telephone call with the president or in the level of the CFO, tatawag ko, ito ang problema namin. Do I elevate this one? Can we actually deal with this or resolve this one? So, ganun ang level of supervision na on every level, kailangan inform si engagement partner as to the update as to the ano na yung status. And then meron din yan na tinatawag na Gantt chart, G-A-N-N-T, Gantt chart, na andoon kung anong level na anong status na at any point in time, the audit or the engagement partner would be on an overall informed, okay, nasa 52% na po tayo. Okay, nasa 60% na po yung audit engagement. Ibig sabihin yung mga gagawin na-accomplish na about 50%. So kasi may timeline niya na sinusunod, hindi pwedeng nalilate. Kasi in the normal course of business and in the yung mga usual na company, the financial statements along with the taxation documents would have to be filed to the BIR no later than on or before April 15. So normally, by end of March, tapos na dapat yan. Kung meron mang mga issues within the period of March to April 15, kailangan finalized yan so that it would have to be filed on time. Okay, still under the engagement performance, the review. So the work performed by assistants would be reviewed, as I mentioned, and then there will be consultation. There should be an established policies that encourage the firm personnel to seek assistance from authoritative sources either within or outside the firm. Ano example dito? Example dito is there is a policy, for example, on the land. Yung land would have to be carried at revaluation model at a revalued amount. So therefore, there will be a revaluation of that year on year. The question is, being an accountant, being an auditor, finishing BS accountancy, and passing the board exam. Do we really have the competency to appraise the value of the land? We don't. We don't have that competency. And that's the reason why we have to actually hire an external or a third-party service provider doing the appraisal. Ang tawag natin doon mga appraiser. Halimbawa, another example, in auditing employee benefit, yung mga retirement benefit. Ano ang kailangan dyan? Actuarial. Actuary. Kailangan niya ng actuary. And yung findings nila, it has to be a licensed actuary. Being an accountant, hindi tayo competent on providing actuarial services, and therefore we have to subcontract an actuary, licensed ones, in order to provide us na ops, tama ang valuation ng employee, ng post-employment benefits, which in other terms are retirement benefits. Diba? So, yan yung mga example of there should be a policy on those getting the services of third party, because they are the authoritative sources of those services. So the engagement partner daw should be responsible for the engagement team. As I mentioned kanina, dapat satisfied siya na yung member ng team have undertaken naputol yun I think appropriate training on this one. Be satisfied that yung nature, yung scope, and conclusion resulting from such consultation are documented, agreed, and with the party consulted. Determine the conclusion resulting from consultation have been implemented. And then number 5, engagement quality control review. The firm should establish policies on quality control review, which provides an objective evaluation of significant judgment made and conclusion reached in formulating the auditor's report. So, as I think I remember mentioning this on our previous session, na yung audit procedures are permeated with judgment calls. So, subjective yon. And therefore, there should be a policy and procedures to check, to have an objective evaluation of those mga significant judgments made during the course of the audit. This requires the engagement partner. Basically, ito yung mga responsibility. Although ito, ginagawa ito ng engagement team or ng audit team, the ultimate responsibility lies with the engagement partner. To determine daw that engagement quality control reviewer has been appointed, dapat merong tao na may magka-quality control to discuss significant matters arising during the audit engagement, including those identified during the quality control review with the engagement quality control reviewer. Yung partner ang tinasabi rito na may discussion with the quality control reviewer para doon sa mga significant matters. It may not be all, just the significant ones. And then, not to issue the auditor's report until completion of the engagement quality control review. So, per experience, as I personally experienced this one, normally by last week or by mid of March, tinatarget na namin yan na tapos na dapat ang engagement or tapos na dapat ang audit, ang field audit. Tapos na rin dapat yung mga documentation. Ang nangyayari na lang dito is that meron ng mga findings, meron ng working papers, meron ng draft financials. Tapos yung financial statements, which is a responsibility of the management to actually draft. Yung mga notes, all of these things goes to the level of review. So along with the numbers are also the narratives or the notes to to the financial statements gets reviewed. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa yung several levels of review, back and forth emails, back and forth discussion, na ito yung towards the end of the period, before the final engagement partner signs the audit report along with to be attached with the audited financial statements, meron pang quality check yan. Kasi, for a firm, even mga wrong spelling, even the margin, even how it looks like, may quality yan. That kailangan mini-maintain yung quality ng trabaho ng isang firm. Be it a small time or be it a big time auditing firm, kailangan nakafocus, andoon yung quality of work. Bakit? By next year, ikaw ulit ang kukunin. Dahil quality ang trabaho mo in terms of substance and also in form. Kailangan nagja-jive yun. And, sorry. Okay. What about if there are differences of opinion? The engagement team daw should follow the firm's policies and procedures for dealing and resolving differences of opinion that arise within the engagement team, with those consulted and where applicable, between the engagement partner and the engagement quality control reviewer. Ito, ang sinasabi dito is differences of opinion within the team. Kasi there are instances, again speaking from experience, wherein the audit team on site would have a different view and call with the audit manager, which is in the office, in the corporate office. Kasi yung audit team are headed by the supervisor. Nakikita niya mismo ito yung policies, ito yung accounting policies na ginagawa. Probably from the side of the audit team on site, okay na sa kanila yon. Parang meron namang halimbawa, may accounting procedure na ginagawa si client na pasado naman sa kanila. Pero pagdating sa audit manager, hindi, kailangan ganito yan, kailangan ganito yan. So even within the audit team, there are differences of opinion. Ang sinasabi lang dito is that there should be a policy and procedure na if there are instances like that, sinong masusunod? Is it the team on site or the team in the corporate office? It depends. If the differences pertains to, for example, accounting standards, then we have to stick to the accounting standard. If the differences is just an insignificant one that are below materiality level, probably magsiset ng materiality level. Kapag ang difference is within 1 million, probably the auditors on site can have a call. Anything above 1 million can be considered already significant and material that the audit manager would have the call. Anything above 5 million, probably the engagement partner or the engagement partner will be the one to have the final decision. Ano ang gagawin? Sino ang masusunod? So, ganon yung sinasabi rito. And engagement partner daw should inform the members of engagement team to bring matters involving differences of opinion to the attention of the engagement partner or others within the firm as appropriate without fear of reprisal. Importante ito, without the fear of reprisal. That means, within the audit team, from the partner to the audit staff, kailangan may open communication on the next level so that, halimbawa, may nakitang problema si audit staff. And then itong supervisor, since on-site siya, sasabihin niya kay supervisor, huwag mo nang sabihin niya kay manager. Yung pala, at the end of the day, kapag nire-review na, material palang amount siya. Normally, may certain period lang si audit staff na nasa on-site. Babalik na yan sa opisina, halimbawa sa Manila. Hindi mo na pwedeng balikan uli, nababalik ka uli sa Naga, halimbawa ina-audit ang UNC. Hindi na pwedeng mangyari yon. Diba? Kaya on-site pa lang and on the time, at the instance na merong ganong occurrence, dapat malinaw at clear and open ang line of communication between and among the audit teams. And as I highlighted in here, the audit report should not be issued until the matter involving differences of opinion is resolved. Kapag may mga differences of opinion, hindi pwedeng hati. Kailangan one single front. Paghaharap ka sa client, being the audit firm, paghaharap sa client, normally on the final call, meron yan, yung final alignment meeting, kung saan naandyan involved sa meeting na yan yung audit staff, yung supervisor, yung manager, and engagement partner, while on the other side na andun yung client. Normally, the CFO, the accounting office or accountant, the CFO, the CEO, kung merong audit committee, yung board, andyan din yan. Normally, on that final call, at i-raise ang mga instances, i-raise yung mga significant findings, hindi pwede na yung audit firm hati pa rin ang opinion. Sasabihin ng isa, this is our finding. Sasabihin ng isa, pero from my perspective, okay naman yan, sir, okay naman yan. Hindi pwede. Findings mo, tapos sasabihin ng isa, insignificant. Sasabihin ng isa, tapos doon pa nagtatalo. May nangyaring ganyan, pero from the side of an organized auditing firm, dapat walang ganong mangyayari. Dapat one single front pag humaharap sa kliyente. Okay, let's go with the monitoring. The continued adequacy and operational effectiveness of quality control and policies and procedures is to be monitored. It must provide reasonable assurance that the system of quality controls are relevant, adequate, and operating effectively. Yung mga policies and procedures that we have mentioned and discussed earlier, kailangan may monitoring kung adequate pa rin ba siya, kung effective pa rin ba siya, kung relevant pa rin ba siya, and if it's operating effectively. So, there should be a monitoring. So, may iteration process yan. Kapag pasay na yung policy na yon, then it has to be updated, it has to be revised. Under the quality assurance review, the government, through the BOA, has, ano nga ba yung BOA? The Board of Accountancy, has required all CPA firm and individual CPAs in public practice to obtain a certificate of accreditation to practice public accountancy. So, meron yan. I think it was 4 years or 5 years back na I was able to get certification from BOA on the being a public practitioner. Kasi kapag may certification ka ng BOA, that's the only time that you can actually sign financial statements. You can, then meron ding ibang certification ang BIR. At ano yung initial requirement doon? Yung CPD units mo, kailangan meron kang 120 CPD units. That's basically 120 hours of seminars. Ganun kataas yung quality ng mga accountants, especially on public practice. Why? Dahil kung ano yung resulta ng trabaho nila ay pagbabasehan ng mga investors, ng mga third-party external users na sinasabi natin. That's the reason why kailangan mataas ang competency and at the same time, updated ang mga CPAs. Hindi porke nakuha mo na yung lisensya mo nung pumasa ka sa board, accountant ka na, pwede ka nang pumirma. No. You have to still get the certification from the Board of Accountancy in order for you to actually do public practice. May mga accreditation yan. At the same time, itong BOA din, or the Board of Accountancy, has the requirement, hindi lang sa CPA, but for the CPA firm in terms of the quality assurance review. Bakit? Because they want to, yan, they want to ensure na hindi pwedeng fly-by-night lang yung mga CPA firm, yung mga account. When I say fly-by-night, mga hindi lisensyado, mga hindi updated, hindi accredited, dahil napakadelikado yon because the financial statements or the audited financial statements that they will be producing will be the basis of the public to their decision making, to their investment, to their borrowings, to their lending. So, importante yon yung mataas ang quality. And mind you, isa, if not the only one, ang mga accountants na merong napakataas na requirement in terms of accreditation with regards to CPD units. When I say CPD, that's Continuing Professional Development. Yun na laging mag-a-attend ka ng mga seminars in order for you to get be updated. Okay, ang sabi rito, the PRC or the Professional Regulation Commission is supposed to create the Quality Review Committee, which shall conduct quality review and audit conducted by CPAs in public practice. Based on the result of the quality review, the QRC may recommend revocation of the certificate of registration of CPAs who have not observed the quality control measures or those who have not complied with the standards of quality prescribed for the public, for the practice of public accountancy. Ganyan ka-authoritative ang Professional Regulation Commission. They are the regulatory agency in terms of all of the professions. And under the PRC is the Board of Accountancy. Ganon sila kalakas na kapag nakita nila na ang trabaho ng isang accountant o ang trabaho ng isang accounting firm is not at par with the quality, they can actually revoke. Pwedeng tanggalan ng lisensya. Parang driver's license lang yan, di ba? Na kapag nahuli ka ng LTO na you are not following the road regulations, pwedeng isuspindi yan. Pag nakita niya yung pag-abuse, gross negligence or gross abuse of that license that was given, then they can actually revoke. So may process din yan. And that's the quality assurance review by the QRC or the Quality Review Committee. Okay, that's end of the topic. Let's proceed with some of exercises here. So we are now on session 3. The answer is, it's the quality of the auditor's performance. So the audit standards, ang pinoprovide niya lang is reasonable assurance na hindi misstated yung financials. So reasonable assurance ang answer dito sa number 4. As I medyo mahirap lang kasi because it's narrative. Pag binasa mo siya parang, kaya as much as possible nilalagyan ko siya ng kwento. So that yung theory would be there with you. But you have to read especially the GAAS. Number 6. Okay, number 7. But the answer is letter D. Meron kasi yan. later on after nitong ano, kasi may marami pang question regarding sa GAAS. And as I told you before on the previous meeting, if ever that there will be questions arising from audit theory, even on the board exam, manggagaling yan, majority of that manggagaling doon sa 10 GAAS. So you have to read it, you have to actually memorize. Okay, number 8. So, ito, sinasabi na rito, yung 3 generally accepted auditing standards galing sa general standards. Bakit? Ilan bang ang nasa GAAS? 3. The general standards, the standards of field work, paano mo gagawin yung field work, at yung standards of reporting. So, under ng general standards is kailangan yung team competent, dapat independent, and then you also observe professional care. In number 9, all of this, yung planning and supervision, obtaining sufficient competent evidential matter, evaluation ng internal control, specific, especially the internal control, nasa field work yan. When you do field work, ang unang the internal control. So, hindi pwedeng letter C dyan. The correct answer is letter D. Okay. About number 10. Yeah. Ulit-ulit natin yan. Reasonable assurance lang. Reasonable lang. Ibig sabihin kasi ng reasonable, yung anybody, any competent and with professional due care na auditor would have the same and might probably arrive at the same conclusion that you have. And yung level ng care and also the assurance is yung reasonable care lang. Yung reasonable assurance lang. It cannot be greater than average or superior, especially not guaranteed to be free from error. Kasi normally, merong times na talagang mamimiss ng auditor yung mga ganong items. Because limited ang time, because of the inherent limitations of the audit, the scope of audit, all of those factors, kaya we cannot have an absolute assurance. Number 11, please. Okay, the standards of due audit care requires auditor to apply judgment in conscientious manner, carefully weighing the relevant factors before reaching a decision. Magiging maingat ka. Yung conscientious is that being, yung mabusisi ka. When you apply judgment, as much as possible, you already covered everything before even coming up into that decision. Bakit? Ano yung pagiging unique ng audit work? This is not accounting work, this is audit work. Diba? Diba, ang number 1 sa mga auditor is that you are independent. Hindi ka related sa in-audit mo, walang conflict of interest. If i-compare ko siya with the work of other CPAs, which is for example, consultancy, o kaya naman accounting services. Pag ikaw ba accountant, ang tatay mo may business, pwede ka bang maging accountant ng business ng tatay mo? Kaya ka nga pinatapos nung magulang mo na mag-accountancy ka kasi gusto nila ikaw yung magiging accountant ng company nila, ng business. Bakit hindi? You can actually be an accountant, pero you cannot be the auditor. The difference between doing an accounting services and being an auditor is that si audit dapat independent ka, dapat hindi ka related, dapat walang conflict of interest. So that, pag sinabi mong fairly presented yan, fairly presented yan. Kasi independent ka, hindi ka namamanduhan at walang influence over your work yung ino-audit mong entity. Diba? As with all other professions, diba? Halimbawa, yung magulang mo is merong construction company, pinakuha ka ng engineering para pag graduate mo, ikaw ang head ng engineering department. That can be. Pero yun ang naghihiwalay sa audit services versus all other professions. It's the independence, yung requirement ng independence. Diniscuss natin kanina yan, na before even accepting the engagement, kailangan titignan mo yung ethical requirement. Independent ka ba or hindi? Kasi pag hindi ka independent, that's an ethical question. Bakit mo tatanggapin ng isang audit engagement kung alam mo sa sarili mo na may conflict of interest yun? I hope that's clear, ha? Okay, number 13. That's letter C. Number 14. General character of the three generally accepted auditing standard classified as standard of fieldwork. Yes. Ang tinitingnan dito is paano ka magpaplano at paano ka mag-gather ng evidence. At the same time, you have to also check on the internal control. That's part of planning. Kasi before you actually do the actual audit, kaya nga audit of standard of fieldwork ito, titignan mo muna yung internal control. Kasi kapag ang internal control mababa, that means madaling malusutan, mas marami kang gagawin na substantive test. Pero kapag nakita mo strong ang internal control, kahit konti na lang ang substantive test. Test of controls na lang ang gagawin mo. So, therefore, kaya ina-understand mo ang internal control procedures ng isang company before you start the audit so that merong basis yung planning mo kung ano yung mga gagawin mong procedures. Hope that's clear. Actually, one reason that I included this question and answer as part of our discussion para I could also clarify some of those concerns or lessons that I might have missed or madali nating mamimiss kung puro lang discussion. Okay? Number 15. Kasi very clear naman doon sa third standard ng fieldwork. Yung process, ano yung gagawin, ano yung method. At reconciliation was not part of it. Bakit? Reconciliation pertains to halos substantive test na ito. Initial pa lang ito, inspection, confirmation, observation. Reconciliation is part of a substantive test na. And it's not specifically mentioned in the standard. So, it's excluded. Hindi siya kasali. Yun lang yun. Okay? Number 16. That's the correct answer. Kasi yung considerations ng internal control is actually part of the standards on field work. While all others are standards under ng standards of reporting. Okay, Miss Ray, gusto mong bumawi. Number 17. Yes, that's adequacy of disclosure. Halata ako sa klase yung mga nagbabasa. Okay, number 18. Okay. Sige. Kasi, ang tinitingnan dito, minsan makikita mo na sa question eh. Ang essence ng question is the consistency. So therefore, kapag may consistency, you can actually have the comparability of the financial statements between period. Kailangan consistent siya. At kapag hindi siya consistent, ang sinasabi sa standard, you have to raise that point na may mga items na hindi consistent. May mga nabago that has to be put in the disclosures basically. Okay. I think it's last one ba ito? Last two? I think last three yan. Letter B is actually the correct answer. Okay, number 20, letter D. Okay, that's correct. Kasi itong fourth reporting standard na ito, di ba? Una, ang expression niya doon sa financial taken as a whole. So parang okay doon sa letter B, 'di ba? Kasi hindi naman kasi talaga nagre-render ng opinion sa bawat isang financial statement. Iba yung opinion mo sa balance sheet, iba yung opinion mo sa cash flow, iba yung opinion mo sa profit and loss. Hindi pwedeng ganon. It has to be taken as a whole, 'di ba? Or an assertion to the effect that an opinion cannot be expressed. So, kailangan kung hindi ka makapag-express ng opinion, sasabihin mo rin 'yon. So, ang tinitingnan dito is that para ma-prevent daw na yung degree ng responsibility niya. Ang operative word dito is the degree of responsibility. Unang-una, the auditor is taking responsibility for the whole financial as a whole. And at the same time, he has to express an opinion na itong opinion na ito para ito sa buong financial statement, and ang responsibility ko is to provide you a reasonable assurance, at may mga inherent limitations yan, but from the perspective of the auditor, after following auditing standards, na-arrive niya yung ganong opinion. At kung hindi naman siya naka-arrive sa isang positive opinion, sasabihin niya rin yun kung bakit. Again, it's taken as a whole. Kahit halimbawa ang problema lang ng audit opinion kaya niya kinwalify is the hindi sila nagkasundo in terms of the allowance, setting up of the allowance for uncollectible receivables, which is basically nasa balance sheet or statement of financial position. Pero the whole financials would already be misstated sa paningin ng auditor. So that's the level of the degree of his responsibility on all of these things. Okay, I hope that's clear. Okay, last one. Yeah. Sa lahat, magiging liable si auditor kung nagkaroon ng negligence. Ibig sabihin kapabayaan. Liable siya sa client niya kung halimbawa nagkaroon ng fraud. Siya, di ba? O kaya naman, siya mismo, ito kasi is liable sa client niya kung siya ang gumawa ng negligence, hindi siya sumunod sa, ang hindi pagsunod sa auditing standards is an indication of negligence. Indicative of negligence yan. Kung fraud, merong kalokohang ginawa si auditor mismo. Nagkaroon ng dishonesty, diba? Pero kung siya nagkaroon ng errors ng kanyang application of judgment, hindi siya liable. Because, of course, maraming factors for the auditor not to be able to arrive at a correct opinion, but so long as, yun nga ang protection dito ng auditor, sumunod ka sa GAAS, sumunod ka sa PSA, then you won't be liable. Even if ma-miss out mo na nagkaroon ng collusion or na-miss out mo may karoon ng misstatement, pero sinabi mo, hindi, unqualified opinion pa rin ang binigay mo, that's okay, so long as you follow the standard. Otherwise, magkakaroon ka, masisilipan ka na may problema kapag dating sa negligence. So, yung application ng judgment, that's okay. Kasi, very human yan na nagkakamali tayo. Okay? That's it.